Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. I think at times that Bharatiya Janata Party is confused. The reason I believe Bharatiya Janata Party is confused is because sometimes they want Muslims, sometimes they don't. But finally, does Bharatiya Janata Party want Muslims on their side or they don't want Muslims on their side? This is the question that I intend to ask tonight. Let's get right into the show and discuss. You see, Bharatiya Janata Party was known or is known, or a lot of people call them election machine and a lot of people call them Chanakya and election, they are 24/7 in election mode and all is what people say. To be very honest with you, especially lately, I find Bharatiya Janata Party directionless. I find them directionless. I find them like a headless chicken. They are running all over the place and I think they are directionless. The reason I say that is because at times Bharatiya Janata Party wants Muslims on their side. At times Bharatiya Janata Party doesn't want Muslims on their side. At times Bharatiya Janata Party goes and calls Muslims their brothers, their sisters, their uncle, their auntie, whatever. At times they say, infiltrators, they call them infiltrators, they call them community who creates a lot of children. So I am very surprised. By what stand are you taking? Are you this side or that side? So that's the point I wanted to understand. And the fact is, lately, especially the Prime Minister, have been doing a lot of this tic-tac quite often. Recently, when he was talking about Manmohan Singh's statement, where Manmohan Singh had mentioned that the first claim of resources lies with the minorities, especially the Muslims. I remember the speech. Please hear the speech.
तो मुझसे छीनने की बात कर रहे हो अपने मैनिफेस्टो में? गोल ले लेंगे, सबको वितरित कर देंगे। और पहले जब उनकी सरकार थी उन्होंने कहा था कि देश की संपत्ति पर पहला अधिकार मुसलमानों का है। इसका मतलब ये संपत्ति इकट्ठी करके किसको बांटेंगे? जिनके ज्यादा बच्चे हैं उनको बांटेंगे। घुसपैठियों को बांटेंगे। क्या आपकी मेहनत की कमाई का पैसा घुसपैठियों को दिया जाएगा? आपको मंजूर है ये?
I remember the speech of the Prime Minister wherein he says that, how can your resources be given to infiltrators? Infiltrators, I presume, and that you heard the speech too, I presume he was talking about Muslims. He said your resources to be given to people who create more kids. Baba, what I understood was he was referring to Muslims. He says no. So at that point in time, he said that, listen, how can your resources, how can a former Prime Minister say that take resources from you and give it to Muslims? This is what I thought he meant in that particular clip. You please write down as to what you think. Now story changes. He gave a interview to a channel recently, and in that channel he said, I am shocked. Who told you that whenever one talks about people with more children, the inference is that they are Muslims? Why are you so unjust towards Muslims? He says. This is the situation in poor families too. Where there is poverty, there are more children, irrespective of their social circle. I didn't mention either Hindu or Muslim. I have said that one should have as many children as you can take care of. Don't let a situation arise where the government has to take care of your children. This is what the Prime Minister says. He says, Maine kidhar bola? Where did I say Muslims or Hindus and all? Now, I want you to pause here, kindly go back, hear what he said. Once again, and you decide what he said. And draw your own inferences. But my point is simple. My point is, if he has said it about poor people and not about Muslims, If he is questioning the former previous Prime Minister on his statement and says that why should the country's wealth be also distributed to poor people who have got more children, if that is what he is questioning, then there is a problem. Then there is a problem, because then somewhere down the line, when opposition says that this is rich people's government, this is rich man's government, and only rich people are happy with the government, and the government is only bothered about the super rich. If people say that, especially the opposition say that, galat kya hua? Because the Prime Minister himself, wide this interview, is saying that, I didn't mean that the resources should not go to Muslims. What I meant is people with a lot of children also means the poor. So you decide. You decide is that is if or let him decide is that is exactly what that he wanted to say. Point number one. Point number two. You see, a lot of people, we also, yours truly also said exactly the same when we were talking about EAC to the PM, Economic Advisory Council to the PM, had come out with those figures of Hindus and Muslims and all in India, and how Muslims are taking over Hindus, or how the figures are growing and all that. When those figures were discussed, yours truly also had told you that it is not population and population increase of population is not about Hindus, Muslims. I mean, that is not the way we should see it. Normally, a society where they are impoverished, where there is no economic empowerment, where there is lack of education, this society normally tends to produce more children. This is what I had said, and I was abused by a lot of trolls who said, what nonsense am I talking about? And finally, when you see this entire report by the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, when you see this entire report, please view this coupled with the Sachar Committee report of 2006. Please couple it with the Sachar Committee report, because you see, a community that is deprived of economic empowerment, that is deprived of education, for instance, 31% of Muslims live below poverty line. This was 2006 Sachar Committee report. 25% Muslim children have either never attended school or dropped out. These are the kind of figures that one talks about. When you are talking about a community like this, please understand, when a community, like I told you, is deprived both economically, education-wise, the chances of this community adopting birth control measures, controlling population, these are things that percolates late into the society. So I would rather look these figures as an opportunity for us to ensure that minorities are elevated. I would rather look at this opportunity to ensure that there is education that is percolated among the minority community. That is how I would look at this entire report, and that is how I think India should be looking at their own people. Now, I ask those people who abused me, you see, the Prime Minister of India is also saying the same. The Prime Minister of India is also saying the same. So, does he actually believe what he is saying? And if he believes what he is saying, then people who support him, what do you say now? Okay, that's my point number 2. My point number 3 is whenever the going get tough for Bharatiya Janata Party, the first hit seems to be on Muslims. So earlier on, it used to be that, the first leg of Mr. Amit Shah, or Yogi Adityanath, to some extent, the Chief Minister of Assam, Himanta Biswa Sarma, who used to be a secular once upon a time, now after coming into BJP, he is communal, he's bothered about Hindutva. All these people would go and talk and kind of completely polarize the rallies that they go and talk. And then, of course, there are these, that Raja Singh and all of that. Of course, all of that were there, but in top league, these were the people who would go and would polarize rallies, polarize the election ground. That is what they would do. Mr. Narendra Modi would go in strategic locations and speak, and would use those typical कपड़े देख के समझते हैं वगैरह वगैरह, टिपिकल one or two of those statements, and that's the way they would work out. But now things have changed. Somewhere down the line, we have not seen much of Yogi Adityanath anyways, and the fact that Yogi Adityanath, though he has done his bit, but the point is not the way he used to do before. Not the way he used to do before. Why is a good question. Why is a good question? We will discuss that in another episode. But the fact is he doesn't do it the way he used to do before. So somewhere down the line, it is now taken over by the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister has been talking about Muslims in various of his speeches, various of his rallies. And now he's rolling back and saying that, listen, what? I never said Hindus or Muslims. And one of the statements that he made is, the day I start doing Hindu-Muslim, I won't be entitled to live in the public domain. I won't do Hindu-Muslim. This is my pledge. So, Prime Minister of India saying that I will not be doing Hindu-Muslim. I cannot do Hindu-Muslim because I will not be in the domain if I do Hindu-Muslim, and I pledge I will never do Hindu-Muslim. This is what he said. You know what? There is nothing more that I want to talk. But I want to show. I'm going to show you some clips. Watch these clips and let me know what you think about his pledge and what you think about what he just said.
साथियों, इंडी गठबंधन की एक और रणनीति की पोल उसके ही नेता ने देश के सामने खोल दी है। अब इंडी गठबंधन ने मुसलमानों से वोट जिहाद करने को कहा है। अब बताइए, हमने लव जिहाद सुना था, लैंड जिहाद सुना था, और वोट जिहाद, और वो भी पढ़े लिखे मुसलमान के परिवार से बात आई है। सामान्य मदरसा से निकले हुए किसी बच्चे ने नहीं कहा है। हाईली क्वालिफाइड फैमिली और कांग्रेस के वरिष्ठ पद पर बैठे हुए परिवार, ये मुसलमान परिवार ने कहा है, नारा दिया है, वोट जिहाद करो। आप जानते हैं ना जिहाद का मतलब क्या होता है? जिहाद किसके खिलाफ किया जाता है? अरे हमारा तो उत्तर प्रदेश ऐसा है, यहां भी खुदा, वहां भी खुदा। यहां भी खुदा, वहां उधर भी खुदा। जहां नहीं खुदा है, वहां कल खुदेगा। लेकिन ये कांग्रेस वाले और उसके साथी क्या कर रहे हैं? हो हल्ला मचा रहे हैं, तूफान खड़ा कर रहे हैं, और उनकी बात चलती नहीं है तो आगजनी फैला रहे हैं। भाइयों बहनों, ये जो आग लगा रहे हैं, टीवी पे उनके जो दृश्य आ रहे हैं, ये आग लगाने वाले कौन है वो उनके कपड़ों से ही पता चल जाता है।
Till I see you next time. That's tomorrow at 10. Namaskar.
Stay ahead with our cutting edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.